Welcome to 7.1. What are the effects of the constants h and k on the graph g of x equals x minus h squared plus k? You've already seen this in absolute values, so I would hope that maybe you're kind of going, hey, I think I know this. Hopefully this is just a review. I just planned a real short lesson on it. So come see me if you weren't here for absolute value. We may need to go over it. Okay, the parent function, first of all, is g of x equals x squared. Now to do that, we would plug it in. So we plug in 0 for x, 0 squared is 0. 1 for x would be 1 squared, which is 1. Negative 1 for x would be negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 squared is 4. So we end up with this wonderful U shape. You saw it during the unit on absolute value. So this is going to be kind of a nice little unit for a little bit here where it's just review for you. Now, we call this a parabola. The shape is called the parabola. The U shape is a parabola. When I ask what shape a quadratic, we call this quadratic because of the square. Square, I think of 4 tires on a quad, and that's how we get quadratic, is that it's squared. The vertex is the point that is either the lowest point on the graph or the highest point. It could be flipped over and it could be the highest point. If it's the highest point, like that, then we say that vertex is a max. I think of a grumpy old man or old woman. Max is just frowning. And with the men, I think of Minnie Mouse. She's always smiling, and it's always a smile. Okay, domain. Domain on all quadrilaterals, it means are the x's limited. As this u goes up, it goes out and out and out. So it's not, we say that's all real numbers. Double backed r is the easiest way to symbolize that. It's just forever and ever positive infinity, negative infinity. The range is with a limit. Y can be greater than or equal to, for this graph, it would be 0. Now interestingly, on the maximum, remember the maximum has a negative in the front of the A, then we have y is less than or equal to 0. If it were flipped over right there. Okay, we'll talk about that more as we play with the A values. Axis of symmetry goes right down the middle, right through your vertex, because that is the line that creates the symmetry of the graph. And we wonder, well, why does that occur? It's due to the square on a quadratic. Remember, the 1 squared became 1, but also the negative 1 squared became 1. It wipes out the negative because there's 2 of them. 2 negatives make a positive. So that's why we have symmetry. Where is it increasing? Remember, increasing is going like this. So it would be from the vertex to infinity. So that would be from 0 to positive infinity on the x-axis. It's decreasing from negative infinity to 0 because it's coming down, going that way. Decreasing is going down that way. Okay. So now we want to look at what happens with the k value. Well, there's our parent function that I just graphed. If we have a k value of -2, I'll color code it for you, it would just drop down to -2. Shouldn't have drawn it further out. It goes up at the same rate. Okay, it doesn't change how much it's stretched or shrunk. It just goes from this -2. So now if it's a positive 3, it would actually shift it up. 1, 2, 3. And again, I expect this is a review lesson, so I don't think that I need to go through and plug in the points. Go back and see the lesson on absolute value to see that. If it's down at -5, then it's going to drop down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it's a plus 1.5, hopefully you're saying all you do is go up between 1 and 2, or about 1.5, and draw your parabola there. Okay? Now, how does it compare? Compared to the parent graph, it shifted down 2. So I'm going to not do all my color coding on this part just to save you time. So I would say down 2, up 3, down 5, up 1.5. So the sign there determines which way it's going to go. Now your domain, as I said a minute ago, it's how far out it goes. So it's all real numbers for each one. On the range, however, I want to make sure that you understand the range is on the y-axis, looking at what is your lowest or highest point. Our lowest point is at -2, so we would say y is greater than or equal to -2. Y is greater than 3. Y is greater than or equal to, oops, I should have put equal to there, -5. And y is greater than or equal to 1.5. So your k value is definitely associated with your y. Now it's not always greater than. And if you've done these before, you could probably tell me when it's going to be less than. But in your range is always connected with the k value. So you can tell your range without ever having to graph it. Okay, now we look at the h values. On the h, remember there's a minus in the formula. So when you plug in a negative, it appears positive, but it's actually negative. So that would take it over 1, 2 to the left. Whoa, that didn't draw very well. -3, now realize it's actually a positive value, even though it looks like it's a minus because of the formula. So it goes over 1, 2, 3. The -4, as it plugs in, it will look like it is a +4, but it's truly a -4 that's been plugged in. And the 1.5 appears to be negative in the equation, unless you remember that the negative was already there, and then you'll know it's positive. So it comes over like that. Okay? Comparing, well, this x plus 2 squared went left 2. X minus 3 squared went right 3. X plus 4 goes left 4. Minus 1.5 goes right 1.5. Okay? Domain again is all real numbers for all of them because it's how far it spreads out this way. And as you can see, the lowest level on any of these is still at the 0, so it did not change the range. The range would still be y is greater than or equal to 0. So the h shift doesn't change your range, only the k shift. Write an equation of the graph. This is another thing that I'll have you do. First thing I want you to think about as you look at the graph is where is your vertex. So first thing is come to the vertex on the graph and put that point. The vertex is at 3, 2. Now you can either go from the vertex or from the questions. Either way, you'll get your h and your k. So you know that your h is a -3, you know your k is a +2. Okay? Units, 3 horizontal units, vertical, 2, direction, right, direction, up. Okay? So when it goes right, you remember that it's actually a negative because of our formula. So we can plug in -3 here, +2. Now we simplify our signs. G of x equals 2 negatives make a positive. Oops, I shouldn't have that square in there, I'm sorry. X plus 3 squared. 2 positives make a positive 2. So you have your equation. And that's the last thing I have you do in this unit on that lesson. See you in class.